Hello, hello, everyone. How are you? This is Dippin' Time, and
Hi, everybody. It's Sparkle Sanctuary.
welcome back. And if you are here first, go check out Sparkle Sanctuary for the first part of this December mental health musings, where we are talking about self-care. We were having a really good conversation about self-care and what that might look like, how it might feel.
Yes, I know on my channel, you asked me what kinds of things that I do to take care of my mental health. And I gave a few examples of some of the stuff I do, but I would like to know what things you do.
Great question. So one of the things that I am getting into is actually having these mental health musings. For me, this is part of my self-care, just to kind of have a space to diamond paint, relax, have a conversation, to not feel so alone without judgment or ridicule or expectations. Once we do these, I feel so good afterwards because it refuels me.
Oh, that's amazing.
Some other things I do is I will go lay down in my bed with a nice big comfy blanket. And I don't sleep, but I just kind of hunker down. I love my warmth. I sometimes will just put something funny on. I love, especially in the summertime, I like going and sitting in my backyard and just listening to the wildlife. And I'll have like a little water fountain going. Nothing big, but just kind of, I'm just here.
Connecting with nature is a great way.
Oh, isn't it? Oh, I love nature. If I'm out and about, I will try and see if I can find like a little park, and I'll just go and take a. And when I go there, what I do is I actually will slow my walking down and really look at the trees and see if I can find the individual leaves, flowers, just to try and slow things down. Now, the other thing I sometimes do, because self-care can look different, is there are times where I am working on something and I just get all this energy and I feel like I just need to let it out. My family's gotten used to it, and I think it's actually quite funny now. But there are times where I will be just sitting here and I'm like, ah. And they're like, was that good? I'm like, oh boy, did that feel good. Because sometimes when you're all riled up, you want a calm place.
Yeah.
But then there's some times where you just need to let that energy out.
Yeah, physical release is really good.
Yeah. The other one that's really good is I will take a piece of paper and I will take a marker and I will just scribble without thinking, just back and forth, move my hand. What I will say, though, is it has taken me a long, long time to figure out what works for me. And it really depends on where I'm going and who I'm with. Being okay to go, this is what I need. I know everyone's like, oh, yep.
So I just realized something. And you had said something about going for a walk in nature, and I've been sitting here going, I actually can't do that. And so, on my channel, I mentioned that I go window shopping, and it probably sounds really counterintuitive because like I said on my channel, I know that retail therapy is not necessarily a healthy thing to do for your mental health. And so that's not something I recommend doing, but that I've gotten control over mine because I'm allergic to the sun. I can't go outside in nature and absorb nature. So for me, getting away and seeing other people and seeing what humanity is watching people shopping in stores.
Yes.
And
People
so
watching.
yes. And so when I say I go window shopping, that's really more like I started thinking about what is it about window shopping that actually gives me the therapy, because I know it can be so toxic for some people and I don't have a problem with it. And it's because I don't actually go to do the retail therapy like what people think of as general as,
Yeah.
shopping. Mine is so that I can people watch, and that's my nature because I can't go outside.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point, because depending on what your mobility, what your physical stat is, or where even mentally, like, what can you do?
Yeah.
When you talk about window shopping, I love window shopping. I do. And that's literally what I do. I use the windows of the stores in place of like a video or a movie.
Yeah.
And I look at all the things in the window. And then when you see people on the other side and they're looking at the things, I watch their expressions and how they're interacting with it.
Well, and seeing what they're interested in, like seeing what
Yeah.
it is that they're picking up and what they're looking for, learning, just nuances about people. I'm very much a people watcher. And I sometimes forget when I say that for me, that's part of my mental health support is going window shopping. I sometimes forget that it's literally because I can't do some of the other healthy responses that people can do. And so anyway, I was like, oh yeah, I should, put add a little tag note onto what I had said on my video, because I don't do it to go do the retail therapy. I
No.
don't do it so that I can spend money, because really people shouldn't be spending money. And like I said, in my video, sometimes I do go spend money a little bit when I have the means, but we don't often have the means to do that.
Yeah.
I am a single mom, after all, but um, that's yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted to share that like light bulb moment. Oh yeah, I forgot. This is why I do
Yeah.
that,
No, it's,
because I can't do that.
and that's awesome. Because there are times where I will go window shopping and I won't bring my wallet, because then I can't buy anything. It's one
And
of those
when I'm
days where I'm
doing
like,
it, yes, when I'm doing it for my mental health, I don't ever take my wallet with me.
right. Um, and when I know I'm in a place where I feel like I'm going to be tempted, I change it up. I don't go near stores.
Yes.
I will try and grab something else. And there are times where I go to do one and I'm okay. So for example, this past summer, I went out in the back and I was sitting there and it was not working. And I'm like, okay, this is not working. I am not calming down. I cannot focus. I'm going to go find something else to do. I'm going to go back inside. I wonder where Dipper is. So Dipper's the ferret. And I'm like, let's go find out what she's doing. And as you were talking, I think part of that self-care for me, and I don't know if you notice this, but self-care is part of that refresh. It's also part of that letting go of control. What I might be thinking is control, trying to see, I'm trying to look at things with curiosity and go, okay, I need to stop thinking about this. My brain is just go, go, go. I'm overwhelmed. And it could be, you know what? What is something completely opposite? Because I know there's times where I go to do self-control and I can't do it. I'm just so wound up. So what do you do in those moments?
I there are places here in town to do physical activities. We used to have a place where you could go in and it was like a smash room and you could just go in and break stuff.
Mm.
And we have axe throwing here, and I've done that before, but honestly, when it comes to those moments when I really just I need to completely lose my mind, I will take a really long hot shower and I will just allow myself to cry hysterically.
That's, and as you're saying that, I'm like, you know what? Yes. And if I can't take a shower, I will go into a washroom and for me, it's warm water.
Yep.
And I just turn the warm water on and I put my hands underneath and I just let the warm water run over my hands and I feel it. So temperature works too.
And there's something very interesting, like thinking about that. For me, it's also warm water. And I wonder if that's very reminiscent of maybe going back to like in a time when we were innocent before life was hard. Like think about when you're in a fetus in the womb, you're in warm water
Mm-hmm.
and you feel safe. And I wonder if there's some kind of psychology behind that, why warm water is so comforting.
It could very well be. Because I know one of the things they talk about is if you are really distressed to take a cold cloth or ice and put it on the back of your neck. I can't. It makes me worse. I can take a warm cloth and just hold it to my nose and mouth, and I can feel it go through there. But it has to be warm.
Interesting.
But yeah, I cannot do the cold. And I know for me, it's associated with unsafe times. So I'm like, no, please don't do that. I'm already feeling unsafe. I
Yeah.
don't need more cold. And sometimes, with doing the self-care, it can feel very uncomfortable because there's times where I I know I'm past my limit and there's people around and I'm like, how do I explain that I need to go? It feels very judgmental. People are going to see me, they're going to question me, I'm going to have to justify it. And what I've learned is I will have a little toolkit with me. And it could be something in my backpack, it could be something in my pocket, it could be a fidget ring, something in gum or candy or a drink. And it could just simply be, and I know we have these commercials where they're like, oh, take a break today. Imagine yourself sitting there with a tea and you're going to this away place. And I'm like, yeah, that doesn't work for me. But interesting enough, I can sit there and I can sit with a warm blanket and go, okay, this works for me.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's also very environmental, depending on where I am. I've also gotten to have conversations with my family So they know what works and what doesn't work. So if we're going somewhere where there's going to be a group of individuals, they're very supportive in, okay, well, we have a sign or a look. And it's like, okay. Or, we do a bit of a pre-plan of, okay, so when we go, where are we going? What does it look like? Okay, so if I need to step away, this is what I'm going to go do. I don't need to go into all the details, but don't worry about me. I will be back. Because it can be concerning too for others when they care about you and you're taking a moment for self-care and they're like, what the heck just happened? Where did
Yeah.
they go? But it's also having that boundary and respect of, gotcha, no worries. You go do what you need to do. And there's no justification for it. You don't feel like you have to justify it.
Yeah.
I know the other one I have a tendency to do, especially lately, is I will take my diamond painting and I'll put it on the kitchen table. And my husband will be in the living room, which is not too far from us. And he's in there doing his thing and I'm at the kitchen table. I'm close enough, but I'm not fully engaged with what he's doing. So I don't feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I think with the time of the season right now, it's challenging, especially like in the Western environment where all these commercials come out and you see all these families and kids and loved ones getting together and they're having a grand old time. And you're going, why are we not feeling that? What's wrong with me? They go to all these parties and they're having a grand old time, but you don't see, or I don't see anybody going, okay, I need time for myself now.
Right?
And it's hard because it's like, well, that's what it's supposed to look like. And I don't feel that. So it part of that expectation, I mean, I don't know if I can say they do it on purpose, but it's part of the marketing. But not everybody has those moments. And it's hard to go, why don't I?
Well, and
And
it's
I think
sad
that's kind of
because,
why we wanted to do this today, going, you know what? Look after yourself first. These are challenging seasons. This is, weather changes. Some people go more hot in their temperature, which also doesn't make them feel very comfortable. And then we have the cold. But then you have all these, okay, we're going to do all these gatherings and we're going to be buying all these presents and everyone's going to be happy. And you're like, I don't want the presents. That's not me.
so I want to tell you a quick story about something that happened this last week. Working at my job, there was a kiddo that started to become upset in the classroom, and the teacher really didn't understand why. And I went into the room and I'm trying to talk to this student, and the student really they were just shut down. And I start looking around the room and I'm looking at all their classmates, and it's right before a break. And all of these kids are doing this fun activity where they're cutting out these turkeys to get ready for the American Thanksgiving. And I start really looking at what's happening around me, and I focus more on like these turkeys that these kids are cutting out, trying to figure out what in this moment triggered this kid. And I'm thinking maybe it's because, not every family can be together, and some people are experiencing sadness during this time. And I really started looking, and the turkeys that they were cutting out weren't just turkeys. The feathers, each feather represented something they were thankful for.
Mm.
And I got down on my knees and directly in front of him, and he kind of backed up, and I said, "You're fine. That's your space. I'm sorry I got closer than I should have." And I backed up a little bit, and I said, "It's really hard to be thankful for things when you miss people. It's really hard to answer people when they're asking you the things that you're thankful for when you can't think of anything that you're thankful for because you're sad." And I said, "I want you to know that I see you and I get it, because I sometimes have a hard time figuring out what I'm thankful for during this time of year too, because I miss my dad." And he looked at me, and we just had a moment. And I realized that he felt seen for probably the first time in a while.
Wow.
Um, I can't really give any information, obviously, about this kiddo because
No.
there would be all kinds of violations. But that moment was everything that he needed, and it was everything to him. And we were able to connect in that moment. And we didn't talk about the situation at all with what they were going through. But I did say, you know, it's okay to be sad and it's okay to not know, but it's also okay to ask for help when you don't know what to be thankful for. And I said, "So how about I tell you some of the things I'm thankful for, and maybe that will help you." And so I said, "I'm thankful for friends, and I'm thankful for this job, and I'm thankful for time with you, and I'm thankful for, the ability to be here and to have, I just went over all the different kinds of things that I'm thankful for in that moment." And this kid is never really open. This kid is always really pretty shut down, and it makes it really hard to get through and to assist them when they're needing help with stuff. And after that conversation, that student actually asked me, because I had lunch duty and I needed to leave. That student actually asked me to stay with them. And it was profound. It was a profound moment for me. And just, I think that's part of it. I think part of, as a society, we forget to sometimes look at what the world looks like from other people's eyes and what it is that they could be dealing with in that moment. And sometimes our self-care, sometimes our mental health literally could just be compassion.
Yep.
And I wanted to share that because I think it's important to recognize that it's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to need other people's help and to be able to ask for help. And it's okay to need alone time, and it's okay to need space, but it's okay to also rely on other people and to give yourself the ability to forgive yourself for needing that help.
Yeah. No, and that's so true. Because sometimes, like to your point, is sometimes we need to be with other people just so we feel like we are seen and we're heard. And it refills you.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful for this community.
Me too.
And I am so grateful for the wonderful people I have met through this community. And for like accepting me for who I am with all my quirks. It is appreciated. So I'm just looking at the time here.
Yep. It's time for us
And
to sign off.
I got a good portion done. I'm working on my little community.
I'm so close to being finished with this. Do you see I'm on my last color?
Yay!
I'm only a couple minutes away.
I
That's
love your
crazy.
canvas. What is the canvas you're working on?
This is a Make Market kit. It's called Pumpkin Tablescape. And I will definitely be doing a post review because I really love the way this has turned out. And I believe the last time I saw they were on clearance, so they may have discontinued them just because they were part of the fall collection.
Mhm.
But I do. This is, I know several people that have done this canvas, and it's really great. I will say there is a little bit something like I use putty in my multi-placer, and I have found moments where I find that it's not sticking terribly well because the glue on the canvas is not, it's not bad glue, but it's, you know, like it's not the most sticky. So
Yeah,
that's my only complaint about this canvas. Everything else, it's just a beautiful canvas. It's
I
coming
love the
together lovely.
colors in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I did not when I when I first started on this, I did not imagine it turning out the way it has. It is just, yeah, it's very beautiful canvas.
I think that was one that, like, similar to when I had a Make Market, and I think it was sunflowers. And I was like, okay, and then when it was coming out, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this.
Yes. And I believe it's because they use these pretty prevalent guide circles. Diamond Art Club also used to use these prevalent guide circles, and I loved the way their canvases would come together because of it. And they don't use those anymore on their rounds as much. Like they use more faint ones, and so you already see the image
Yeah,
as it's coming together. And this it just looks different. I
yeah,
don't know why I love the way it comes. I just love the way watching it come to life is so enjoyable.
yep.
But I also recognize people don't love the guide circles. So
Yeah, no, exactly. To each their own, and that's all good.
yep. Yep.
So I'm working on Northern Hideaway from Coco Marshmallow. It's a Mystical Dream Diamonds kit. And I'm loving the glimmer on these.
Yeah.
I'm just wishing I had more time to sit down and actually work on it. But I'm loving how it's coming out. So thank you
Yours
everybody
is
for
very bright and festive.
it is. But it has like boats in it. It's got sunshine in it. It's got Aurora Borealis and snow. It just has everything in it, which is, I think, part of what I liked about it. It just
Yeah.
has like different aspects. Okay, so I think we're going to let everybody go now. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you for being you. In the comments below, in both Rebecca's and mine, let us know what you do for self-care. What do you plan on allowing yourself to do over this next month?
That's a good
So
idea.
yeah, I love, because it's always nice to have other options. So until then, guys, remember, you're doing the best you can with what you have in this moment. You've got it. And we will see you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.